The following presentation is about Adelphia Communications Corporation. It will be presented by Aaron Thurber, Ashley Wright, Jen Johnson, and Josiah Milner. To start things off, let's learn a little bit about Adelphia. Adelphia was founded in 1952 by John Regas in Coudersport, a small town in Pennsylvania. This company was a cable television company, and at one time they were actually the fifth largest cable company in the United States. John Regas, being from Greece himself, helped us make sense with where the company name came from, as well as the company culture. They named the company Adelphia after the Greek word Adelphos, which means brothers. The company was ran by Regas with the help of his two sons, Timothy and Michael. After alleged fraud and some plundering of its shareholders, creditors forced the company to file for bankruptcy in 2002. Years later, parts of the company were purchased by companies like Time Warner Cable and Comcast, and was acquisitioned off as well.
Adelphia was involved in several legal acts. The SEC convicts them specifically of three acts. First, they were hiding billions of dollars in debt in off-balance sheet affiliates. Second, they falsified and manipulated the accounting books to inflate earnings to meet Wall Street's expectations. Finally, John and Timothy were involved in a massive string of non-disclosed related party transactions, which they were purchasing personal luxuries for themselves. Shareholders began to take note of this in March 27, 2002, when the books showed a footnote disclosing that the company was now $2.3 billion in debt. Later, in 2002, the company filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, which is a type of reorganization where the company continues its business operations in order to pay off the debt to the creditors. In September of 2002, 5 of the executives were charged with a total of 24 counts of fraud. However, it wasn't until 2004 in the Second Circuit Appellate Court that John and Tim were found guilty of security, fraud, conspiracy, and commit bank fraud, and John and Tim were sentenced to 20 years in prison and 15 years respectively.
Apart from being manipulative, unethical, and treating their company like their own ATM machine, the Regas family was known to be very generous with their company's money. He was quoted as saying, "In my heart and in my conscience, I'll go to my grave really and truly believing that I did nothing but try to improve the condition of my employees." Testimonies at the trial included stories of how the company's plane was used to fly a Christmas tree to a family member in New York City at a cost of $6,000, and was also known to fly citizens of his hometown in need of medical assistance to treatment centers on his private jet. The family also allegedly spent $3 million to help John Regas' daughter produce a film. Generally, John Regas was extremely charitable and gave millions to friends, family, and other organizations. Yet the family was also known for some more frivolous expenditures. Adelphia paid a $40,000 annual salary for a personal masseuse for the Regas family, not to mention the 100 pairs of bedroom slippers that were purchased for their son Timothy. John also ordered a company purchase of 3,600 acres of timberland at the cost of $26 million to preserve the pristine view outside of one of his homes in Coudersport. According to one of the witnesses, his son Timothy and him also had a collection of 22 cars paid in full by Adelphia. Prosecutors called a total of 16 witnesses to the stand, including 8 former and current Adelphia executives who gave convincing first-hand accounts of the alleged wrongdoing. Along with these executives, the others included a golf pro and an actress named Peta Wilson to testify about the family's lavish spending habits. Mrs. Wilson and the golf pro both testified that the family flew on Adelphia's corporate jets for no apparent business purpose. Prosecutors contended that the family treated the company like their own ATM machine. Witnesses even testified that John Regas took out $1 million of cash per month from the company without agreeing to pay interest and without signing any promise to repay it.
John and Timothy Regas made a series of ethical violations which include not upholding their duty to maximize shareholder profits, as well as lying to the public about Adelphia's operations and financial condition. John and Timothy also violated ethical standards by using company money to support their lavish lifestyle. One of the major repercussions of these ethical violations was felt in Countersport, where at one time with a population of 3,000 people, 2,000 were employed by Adelphia. Another ethical dilemma that follows this case was whether or not to delay John Regis's 25-year conviction because of his health issues, which include bladder cancer and his recent recovery from a triple bypass surgery. Adelphia executives testified that they routinely made up numbers that they gave to investors and lenders, as well as testifying that the Regises regularly withdrew money from the company without making reimbursements. John and Timothy Regis were found guilty on 18 counts of conspiracy, bank and securities fraud, while Michael Regis and Michael Mulcahy were acquitted for testifying against them.